Listen, people are like, Melanie was so surprised by finally seeing Sincere's lies. I don't think anyone in that villa was more surprised than Sincere himself. Hot take. He was like, "Did I say that? I did say that, and that." Yeah, he he shouldn't be surprised. Lying is his favorite pastime. He loves to. Some people like basketball. Some people like cooking. Some people like singing. He loves to lie. I ain't never meet someone that loves lying more. Let's get into it, friends. Okay, point number one I want to make is Casey and Anaya are not matched, nor have they ever been. There is nothing about their interaction, from their physical chemistry to the conversations that they were having, that made any one of us that are watching want to believe in them, besides the fact that we support, at least on this channel, we support Black love, okay? Which is beautiful, but you also have to call a spade and say, this is just not working, especially because it was clear, or I think it still is clear, that Anaya has definitely some insecurity issues. She would say he could explore, he being Casey, and just not give him the opportunity to, because when he would, she would then become defeatist or get angry and upset. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? If you say I can't explore, but your actions don't support your words, then I can't. Casey's biggest issue in the relationship was that he was very insecure. And as we found out, this bothered me. He said, I've been pouring into her every day. I'm allowed leeway. So there was an agenda. There was an agenda, right? And that's what I was like missing. The way that he was speaking to her, which, yes, was affirmative, but also showed that he believes that he can like fix, and that he's entitled to a certain part of her, and that he is allowed to do whatever he wants. And he's not mature enough to say, his biggest issue, I didn't say, is immaturity, I believe, because he's not mature enough to say, this isn't working, we're not actually that compatible, so I should be pursuing someone else. I shouldn't just keep you here as my option and give you all these convincing thoughts of your worth to make sure that you're hooked here, just in case I don't find someone else. And maybe, I think that was more of a subconscious thought that he had, but I definitely think it was there, and the actions fully show it. And so, I mean, listen, I'm not a big supporter of the men in the villa, but when they said you booed KC before you even knew any of the stuff that happened on the movie thing, there, to be fair to the boys, keep in mind that they did see the heart rate challenge at Casa Amor. So they did know that Casey was saying some stuff, along with many of the other guys, right? So it did kind of start with that energy that they knew was happening. Was it fair for the women to boo him right away? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because again, they were not a match. I wanted them to come back from the villa. Not from Villa, from Casa Amor, both having different person. KC did it. The person he picked, TT, she's a character. She's a character. But he has this big boy inferiority complex that he continues to like lean into, which is why he was trash talking Anaya. So when they're like, it's double standard, I'm like, it's not though. When you saw the video of Anaya and she's talking about Carl, I was like, it feels nice. None of the conversations about Carl led to her dogging KC. And I was like, can we not pretend like we're dense here? Anaya's conversations were like, I know he's exploring, so I'm trying to give myself the chance to. And she did. She said she's not mad at him exploring. She is. She is. Girl, you lying. You lying. You're mad that he explored. But like, good on you for still trying to do it. I'm glad that you did it. I'm so mad that you didn't end up picking Carl, because you explored, you found something where it was like, wow, this is actually what it should feel like when I have these butterflies, when I have connection with someone, when I have something in common. But she said, I want my fine shit. Well, the girl, and then you ended up looking like shit. You got shit all over your face. That's what happened. That's what happened when you focus on aesthetics over functionality in a relationship. By the way, Carl, I think he's fine as hell. Casey is fine too, absolutely. But it's not to say like Carl's is some like oogie boogie man. That man, it was very attractive, and like if you cannot say to yourself that that I'm willing to forego that for a relationship, I don't know what to tell you, girl. They both had their own issues. I think and it's hard for Nia, because I definitely feel for her more. She was definitely the least offender in the relationship, at least towards this end part, when all the stuff coming out. And you can definitely see that when you're watching the videos of Casa Amor for movie night with KC and how he was talking about her. And we're starting to see the hidden agenda of these things that like showed why Anaya was so unsettled in the relationship. But we obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I think most of us can agree that there is an insecurity thing that she really should be addressing. I really hope this thing works out with Carl. Not to his detriment though. So I really hope that she, because when she was yelling at KC, I was like, girl, calm it down because. And to be fair, Casey was the one that was like lighting the fire. I'm like, we don't need your apology. You don't need to explain yourself. It's over and it's done. It's done with. But I really hope that Anaya doesn't keep focus on that so she can focus on Carl and give him the energy that he deserves. I hope that he's able to look at the situation and say, like, after watching that, saying, I see how this kind of shook out. So I'm going to come back with this more open and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. That's a lesson for a lot of you people, though, watching. I hope that you saw, and I felt the frustration with Anaya because I've been there before, right? So don't be too hard on her. She is younger. Don't be too hard on Casey either. I don't want to be a double standard. Don't be too hard on Casey either. I think Anaya learned her lesson. I don't think Casey did. So maybe you need to be hard on him so he learns his lesson. I don't know. Who's to say? Last thing I'll say about that is like Anaya definitely believes in struggle love. I don't know where she got that from. I don't know if that's a family thing that she saw, but I think a lot of people in our lives are full beliefs of that, whether or not they are conscious of it. This idea of like, we've been through so much, but you've been through tumultuous times, and you think that validates your relationship. And it doesn't. Relationships shouldn't be that hard. You shouldn't be constantly fighting with each other. If you are, you have to ask yourself deeper questions like what's going on with myself, with my partner, between the two of us? Is there compatibility? These are all great questions to ask, and they're also necessary questions. And then we had the Battle of the Blondes, darling. Jen, I'm so happy for Jen to clock Kenzie. Jen has not been having the most luck in the villa, and I feel sorry for her about that. Um, Kenzie just wants what she wants, and not in a fun way, because she's definitely stepping over people and hurting people along the way just to get what she wants. When Homeboy was crying, I felt like very sad for him, but also not that sad because I'm like, you know who she was. One thing about Kenzie, she after because her first week was rough because after not getting Zach, and then she was kind of like in no man's land. After that, she was like, I'm gonna be my full self. And one thing about Kenzie, she stands on what she believes, for better or for worse. And one thing that all the girls can learn from Kenzie is when she's done with someone, she is done with them. She don't be going back. Okay, Melanie, Kata, Anaya, all y'all need to be taking notes because my girl Kenzie, with her clam slams on the ground, be standing on business. So I'll give her a shout out for that, even when it's clearly wrong. Um, but Jen, when she was like, I wouldn't be friends with you outside of the villa, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's why you should be friends with her in the villa. I get the thing of exploring, and we've always talked about it, and not only just myself, a bunch of channels that I watch talk about there is a respectful way to explore. We usually talk about that in terms of when you're with a partnership, but there's also a way to do it if that's your person's friend. As embarrassing and awkward as it was, Bryce going to Zach and saying, hey, I would like to pull Kata for a chat was the appropriate thing to do, because you're like, this is my close friend and we're here to explore. We both know what the rules are and how this thing works, but I would be remiss if I didn't go to my friend and say, hey, this is something that I would like to do. Should he have done it? Absolutely not. But he did the right thing of going to him and asking, like, and I shouldn't say ask for permission as if he needs to ask for permission, but like definitely like running it by your friend. And that's Kenzie said she would do that and she didn't. So there's that. That she don't stand on business with that. She'd be keeping her secret. She's like, I'll tell you when it's convenient for me. The thing that really pissed me off about Zach and the way that the boys were confused, and even with the girls when they're like, he would have still picked you though. I genuinely think if Lil Miss Racist that said the N word was not kicked off of the island, I do think that he was going to pick Kata regardless. I think he definitely enjoyed the Little Miss Racist. I'm going to call her that because I also don't remember her name. Angel Girl. But since he came back to the villa, the way that he's been talking about the situation, he was like, yeah, I said that, like, I did kiss her and that kind of stuff, but then I chose you and I came back for you, leaving out that he didn't have a choice. And if you really felt that way, you're like, I came back and chose you. You could have said she ended up leaving, but I right before she left, I did let her know that I was not going to be pursuing her anymore, which actually would have been a lie. But I'm really more interested in pursuing my thing with Kata, even though I'm open to getting to know you more. Right? Could have said that. She ended up leaving, but if I'm being honest, I don't think it would have went anywhere else. It's something he could have said, but instead, it's like lying is still lying if it's the omission of truth. She asked you what happened, what went on, and you decided just to tell the part you wanted to tell. And people are acting like that part is not important, that she wasn't kicked out. And I think Kata is kind of like, would he have picked her? I'm like, that's not what's important. The important part is that's actually a very crucial thing to mention. And he left it out on purpose. It's not like he forgot. He left it out on purpose because he didn't think it would look good. He wanted to look better to you so you would get over the whole kissing thing. Do these boys forget that you're on a show that's being filmed 24/7? Just, oh, Jesus. So I think the principle of it, right? Because sometimes it's not about the end choice is that he's still with Kata, right? It's easy to be like, well, at the end it would have worked out. And if she still stayed, it probably would have worked out. That's not the point. The point is he has done so many shady things, and he is definitely on an agenda while he's in this villa. The way he's played her and said like, we should be closed off. No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't sleep together. No, let's do it. And we probably shouldn't. I'm still going to be interested in a bombshell. Doing that within 24 hours of like opening that door is it's he moves so icky and strategically, and I don't like it, and I'm not a fan of it. And the way that he tried to weasel the situation, because I would say he looks like a. I don't need to do that. That's not nice. That's not nice, and it's not appropriate. um, it's very icky. Last and certainly least, the king of the lies. I know you've been waiting for this one. I had to leave them towards the end just in case. Make sure that people watching all the way through. If you've enjoyed what I've had to say so far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. What I usually do on this channel is I go through Reddit relationship advice, so I continue to do that. That will always be a thing on my channel. I'm also really into reality TV, so there's some things, especially when it's related to relationships, that I really do like to commentate on. So I talked about Summer House, and some things about Love Island. So keep tuned for those kind of things. I've done Love is Blind too. Okay, the thing about Sincere is he don't even know. He about to get that double whammy um on Thursday, because at first I was like, this is already going really long with all these things with Soul, which is true, like him lying about the amount of times it happened, the way it happened, what he's been saying to her, and we knew it. And I think we've just forgotten is not the right word, have made our peace about Sincere. We were like, this man is just a full liar. He cannot tell the truth. And we knew that fairly early on in the season. So we kind of just like brushed it off, and not to say that it excused the behavior. It was more like, oh yeah, he's just be doing that. But once they sat down and they put it all together in the street, when they lumped it all together, you're like, I knew this was going to be bad because we already know what kind of man he is. Man, he is. But it was worse than I remember. I said, yeah, when you really go back to back and highlight all these things, just with Soul, not good. Not good at all. And I felt so bad for Melanie. You could just tell that she was so hurt and caught off guard, because yeah, like, you're trying to fix this relationship. In the beginning, she was wilding a little bit, but she had definitely calmed down, leaned into the relationship, was trying to fight for some honesty, and was trying to be open. And she always had this a little bit unsettledness. And it's like, yeah, because you're not getting the full story. He's lying to your face, and these other people aren't really telling you what's happening. The people that are aware of what's going on, because even the boys didn't know. They were like, this is bad. If you had all the boys like, yo, this is bad, like, oh my gosh, and the homeboys just chewing on that popcorn, I was like, yeah, it's not good. And we didn't even get to Amora yet, because when the video finished, I was like, damn, that's long. I looked at the time left on the video and I said, we're not done yet, because I was like, movie night just can't be done yet. There's other things we need to see. But I was like, there's still more left for Sincere. We haven't even gotten to Casa Amor and the crazy thing that he's been saying there. And obviously we saw in the trail that Melanie gets very activated, but that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot. And rightfully so, because I there's something about misrepresenting and doing things that kind of like benefit you. The way that Sincere's has been moving has just been the nastiest of all of them. KC has definitely misrepresented himself. Zach has. Bryce, bro, I don't know anything about Bryce. um, but yeah, it's not. It's really bad. It's really bad for Sincere. I feel really bad for Melanie. I don't know, at this point maybe it makes sense. Melanie shouldn't go home, but I'm like, I don't know if she's going to have a easy time getting a connection at this point in the villa because of the time that's left. I don't know. I don't know. But we'll see how part two goes. So I'll probably release that video, right? It comes out Thursday. I'll probably release something on Friday. So hopefully you follow, and I will see you then, friends. Bye.